Behind the Line Extra for your Saturday, October 26, 2019. I'm your host, KC. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I apologize for my voice. I think I'm coming down with a sinus infection. Not feeling really good at all, but just bear with me today. NFL plays for tomorrow coming up. Should be another really good weekend for the NFL. Not so much for Major League Baseball, as the worst World Series imaginable has happened. You know, baseball executives were crying in their coffee with this matchup. Nationals and Astros. Not one star player in terms of casual fans on either team. The ratings are showing it too. Game 1 was the lowest rated World Series game since 2014. Actually, it was one of the lowest rated World Series games ever. Major League Baseball is a struggling brand right now. They do a terrible job of marketing their sport. You can't say the same thing about ESPN. ESPN does a great job of promoting and marketing its programming. We see commercials all week hyping up the ESPN Game of the Week for college football. This morning, the headline article, or actually yesterday morning, the headline article on ESPN.com was how heavy favorites Alabama, Ohio State could lose on Saturday. The Arkansas-Alabama game is being broadcast Saturday night on ESPN. There's a difference between hyping and promoting and just outright bullshit. This headline was outright bullshit. I'm supposed to believe that Arkansas actually has a chance to go on the road to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. I would love for someone to explain to me how that would happen. Arkansas, a team that struggled at home to beat Portland State. A team that lost to shitty Ole Miss. A team that lost to San Jose State at home. Lost to Kentucky. Blown out by Auburn. I'm supposed to believe that this team has a fucking chance to beat Alabama? I understand that Tua is out. I get it. And some no-name Mac Jones is the starting quarterback for Alabama. ESPN's explanation for how Alabama loses was basically summarized as, quote, deer in headlights quarterback plus nothing to lose opponent. Really? That's the formula for defeating Alabama? Their quarterback will be nervous, so Arkansas has a chance to win? I guess throw out the running game and the defense, because, Arkansas has such a great run defense. They're ranked 104th defending the run. Just a phenomenal run defense the Razorbacks have. Article also stated that if Arkansas can create some easy points and are able to play loose and stay close, the crowd at Bryant-Denny Stadium could begin to clam up in the second half. That can turn a home field advantage into the opposite. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm a believer now. You've convinced me, ESPN. The fucking crowd at Bryant-Denny Stadium will be half empty by the second half. I talked about this yesterday. We've seen this over and over again. Alabama plays an opponent they have no business playing. The crowd goes home at halftime, and Nick Saban bitches about his fan base not supporting the team. I do agree with one thing in that statement, though. The remark about home field advantage in the second half, Alabama sure won't have it, because the stadium will be half empty. Alabama's favored by 30-plus points with a backup quarterback. Without Tua. And you're trying to convince me, in an obvious ploy to get people to watch this game, that Arkansas has a fucking chance to upset Alabama at home. A team that hasn't beaten Alabama since 2007. I won't be watching this game. I told you at the beginning of the season, I refuse to watch these cupcake games. The first Alabama game I'll watch this year will be against LSU in a couple of weeks. Their first real game of the season doesn't happen until early November. I mean, the schedule is just a fucking joke. These other SEC teams play relatively difficult schedules. Florida's already played LSU and Auburn. Auburn opened the season against Oregon. They're playing LSU tonight. Went on the road against Florida. I don't know how you can rank Alabama number one. I really don't understand it. How can you be the number one team in the country and you have played no one all fucking year? Nick Saban should be embarrassed about this schedule, but he won't be. The fan base will loudly claim how great this fucking Alabama team is, with a defense that could be one of the worst Bama defenses in several years. They're young. LSU beats this team by 10 plus points in a couple of weeks. I can't wait for it to happen. All right, moving on to the NBA. Coming into the NBA season, the Lakers were heavy favorites, at least by the public, to win the NBA title. They've got LeBron and AD. They'll be unstoppable. Many bets were made in Vegas, putting money down that the Lakers would win it all. We talked on this podcast briefly about what would happen in Los Angeles if the Lakers struggled. We all know LeBron wasn't going to take the blame. If you look at his career, LeBron has never taken the blame when one of his teams are struggling. I know the Lakers are 1-1. So I'm not saying that this team is struggling. There was so much player movement this offseason across the league. We're going to see a lot of teams struggle early. We saw it in New Orleans last night. First quarter, Dallas looked like shit. Second quarter, Pelicans looked like shit. It's going to take time for a lot of these teams to really come together. However, if I'm a fan of the Lakers, I'm really concerned about their lack of depth. I'm not trying to be a homer here, but I feel like New Orleans, I don't want to say got the better deal out of the trade, but as far as depth is concerned, they got the better deal. At least for the time being. I know Anthony Davis is a superstar player, but the Pelicans have real depth, especially at the guard position. They've got 3 really good young players out of that deal. The Pelicans could be good for years to come. The Lakers, on the other hand, I see some potential problems. Look, LeBron James is going to be 35 years old in December. He leads the league in career minutes. Like it or not, he isn't the same player he used to be. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still one of the best players in the NBA. There's no doubting that. But at this point in his career, I don't think he's even the best player in Los Angeles. I think Kawhi Leonard is. Kawhi Leonard completely outplayed LeBron Tuesday night. But Kawhi has depth on his roster. He can rest, not have to worry about a huge drop-off in quality of play from his bench. LeBron doesn't have that luxury. Outside of LeBron and AD, who do you think is going to step up on this Lakers roster? Kyle Kuzma, maybe? It's not going to be Rondo. Danny Green has looked good early, but he's only a shooter. He can't create offense for other players. Once again, the success of this team falls squarely on LeBron's shoulders. Anthony Davis doesn't have what it takes to lead a team. The problem is, like I said earlier, LeBron is not the same player. Remember when he used to regularly push through defenders in the paint? That doesn't happen anymore, not on a regular basis. I mean, sure, he can sometimes. We see flashes of prime LeBron, but not like he used to. The problem with the AD trade, the Lakers have very little help. What if AD gets injured, like he's prone to do? And they're not going to get help via trade, not this year anyway. What tradable assets do the Lakers have? This team still doesn't have great three-point shooters outside of Danny Green. They aren't great stretching the floor, which is why they brought in DeMarcus Cousins, but he's gone with a torn ACL. Then they go and pick up Dwight Howard, the opposite of what they needed. I said before the season, I don't think Dwight Howard makes it through this season in Los Angeles. At some point, he will become a problem in the locker room. The Western Conference is loaded and wide open now that Golden State appears to be trending downward. I'm not saying that the Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs. LeBron and AD are too talented for that not to happen. They might even be a top 4 seed. But what I am saying is that this team, as it's currently constructed, won't win the Western Conference. All right, let's get to the NFL plays for the week. First losing weekend in a while. I think in the whole month of October last weekend. Went 2-3. Should be better this Sunday. First game up. Bucks at Titans. Current line, Tennessee -2.5. I really like this Tennessee offense with Ryan Tannehill. I said before the season that he would come in and rescue this team. He's off to a 1-0 start and will be 2-0 after Sunday. The Titans defense is for real. 4th in the league in points allowed, 8th in yards allowed. And they're finally getting help from their offense. Tennessee does not turn the ball over. Only 5 turnovers on the season. Tampa has solved some of their road woes this season, but this team historically, especially under Jameis Winston, is a really bad road team. Losers of 17 of their last 21 on the road. I know the Bucs are coming in off of a bye week, but they had to travel back from London. Tampa hasn't had a home game in over a month. This is an exhausted team. We saw that in the game against Carolina in London a couple of weeks ago. Sloppy play, lots of turnovers. The key to taking the Titans here is the line. If this were 3.5 or 3, I'd lean towards Tampa Bay. But with it being under a field goal, I'm going to go with Tennessee. Swallowing the points, taking Tennessee minus 2.5. Chargers at Bears. Current line, Chicago minus 4. This is one of those games where I couldn't believe the line when I saw it. Almost feels like Vegas is baiting me to take the Chargers, and I'm taking the bait. There's no way in hell that I'm swallowing over a field goal with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. No doubt that the Bears have one of the better defenses in the NFL. However, I have a feeling this defense has given up on Trubisky. It's disheartening to shut your opponent down and your offense can't move the ball 10 yards. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. The defense is on the field the majority of the game. That Bears defense was so exhausted last week in the second half against New Orleans that the Saints were basically able to impose their will. I know the Chargers are 2-5, but this is typical of the Phillip Rivers era. Start the season slow, underachieve, catch fire midway through the season for a playoff push. Rivers is having a great season, averaging close to 300 yards a game passing. The Chargers' defense has also played pretty good, but turnovers have really killed this team. I like the Chargers to win this game. Like I said, the Chicago defense has given up on Trubisky. Gave up 24 points to Oakland, 36 points last week to Teddy Bridgewater. They've allowed 822 yards the last 2 weeks. The Chargers are a better road team than they are at home. Line opened at 5.5, been bet down to 4. I'll gladly take the points, taking the Chargers plus 4. All right, next up, Jets at Jags. Current line, Jacksonville minus 6.5. One thing I look for every week with my NFL picks is a team that was embarrassed the week before, and they're getting points the following week. We have that here with the Jets. Don't overreact to the loss Monday night against New England. Everything that could go wrong for the Jets in that game went wrong. Remember, this is a team the week before that dominated the Cowboys as 7-point home dogs. Sam Darnold was god-awful Monday night. 4 interceptions. The Jets had 6 turnovers as a team. 34% completion percentage. I don't see it happening 2 weeks in a row. I thought Jacksonville looked terrible offensively last week against the atrocious Bengals defense. If the Jags don't force a couple of turnovers late in that game, they most likely lose. They were trailing most of the day. The problem for the Jets has been turnovers, a weakness with this Jacksonville defense. 4 games this year, the Jags have forced 0 turnovers. Going into the game against the Bengals, Jacksonville had only forced 2 turnovers all year. Sam Darnold and the Jets bounce back here. People are loading up on the Jags in this game. I think that's an overreaction to the Jets' performance on Monday night. The Jags should win, but I like the Jets to cover. I'm taking the Jets plus 6.5. Broncos at Colts. Current line, Indianapolis minus 4.5. In the NFL, I tend to avoid swallowing more than 3 points on any game. Games in this league are usually very close. Come down to the last possession. However, I told you on Tuesday that I was wrong about Jacoby Brissett and this Colts team. And I like them tomorrow at home against Denver. Joe Flacco is awful. There's just no other way to describe him. 4 games this season under 200 yards passing. Defenses can load the box to stop the run because it's highly unlikely Flacco will beat them through the air. It sucks for Denver fans to have a bum quarterback because their defense is really good. The Colts have the best offensive line in the league. Jacoby Brissett, on most plays, can sit in the pocket without pressure and find open receivers. They take care of the ball, 4th in the league in turnovers. Good running game. They wear defenses down. Indianapolis is a complete team. There isn't really a lot of pressure on Jacoby Brissett to do more than he can. Things are falling apart in Denver. Star wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders requested to be traded, and the Broncos obliged. He's now with the 49ers. Fans are calling for Fluco to be benched. Some are even calling for team president John Elway to be fired. John Elway's a fucking legend in Denver. This team managed only 205 total yards against a bad Kansas City defense. I like Indy to win this game by double digits. I'm going to swallow the points. I'm going to take the Colts minus 4.5. All right, last game up. Panthers at 49ers. Current line is San Francisco minus 6. This is my favorite play of the week. Lots of hype surrounding the 49ers, and I'm not a believer yet. Who is San Francisco beaten this year? Bad defense in Cincinnati. Bad defense with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Bad defense with Washington. This team hasn't played a good defense all season. And Jimmy G still has managed to only have one game with over 300 yards passing. That all changes Sunday afternoon. The Panthers' defense will be the best unit Jimmy G has seen all year. This team has been rolling since Kyle Allen took over for Cam Newton. Winners of 4 straight. Everyone is talking about how great this San Francisco defense is. But it's fool's gold. It's easy to look good defensively against guys like Andy Dalton and Baker Mayfield. This will be the first real test for the 49ers. A team that is 2-15 against the spread their last 17 games as a favorite. Going up against a Carolina defense that has covered 14 of their last 16 against San Francisco. I like the Panthers offense more. I think the Carolina pass rush, which has 27 sacks this season, will give Jimmy G trouble all afternoon. I actually like Carolina to win this game on the road, but I'll take the 3 points. Taking Carolina plus 6. All right, just to recap here. Taking Tennessee minus 2.5. The Chargers plus 4. The Jets plus 6.5. Indy minus 4.5. And the Panthers plus 6. All right, that's all for today, guys. I'm going to get the hell out of here, get some medicine. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment in the section below with your NFL picks for the weekend. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I'll be back Tuesday morning with the good, the bad, and the ugly for the weekend. Have a good weekend.